Best plays, best value, best results. 9 to 5 sports.
How about that intro? How about it? Yeah, there's nothing good about it. But hey, let's get into the wide receiver sleepers for this upcoming fantasy football season. Now, this is the video that I like the most. I like doing this video the most because it actually matters the most. You know, there's always tiers in fantasy football. When you get to a point in the draft where there is just it's an open board. You guys can go where you want. And these guys are going to be the guys that you're going to be drafting because they're going to be in good spots this year. And they're going to be guys that are going to produce either on a weekly basis or they're going to be a little bit week to week, but we'll know when to start them because of the good matchups. Now, I kind of want to break down how I view a wide receiver sleeper because there are some predictors that we can kind of key on. And then to us, they're not really sleepers because it's just a matter of them, you know, going out there and producing. Now, the preseason will be a little bit telling. We'll be able to see how they're going to be used. But the stats that I kind of like to look at are, did they have 7 or more targets in multiple weeks? Also, do they have multiple weeks in which we could start them? And as you guys know, a start to me is 9.5 fantasy points or more in a half-point PPR. So that's what I like to look for. You know, have they shown that upside, that big play upside? Have they shown it on film? Have they shown it on the stats? And then also, the easy one, opportunity. Has their opportunity increased? All right, let's get into it. All right, so starting off with the sleepers. Now, this could change. You know, this list could easily change. We could add some in there come preseason or at the end of preseason, or we could take some of these guys out. You know, it's always kind of changing, but at this time of the year, on 5/17, these are the guys I'm going to be looking at. Now, the guy I like the most, and I can even go out and say a bold call right now, I think DJ Moore is going to be a top 20 fantasy football receiver. He has some insane upside. You look at what he did from week 11 on. He saw 7 or more targets in every game except for one. They were actively trying to get the ball into his hands, much like they did with Christian McCaffrey at the tail end of his rookie season. We all saw that great second year that Christian McCaffrey had. I think DJ Moore is going to do the same exact thing. They're going to look to get in the ball fast, quick, and easy. You know, that offense, I think, is going to look a lot like the Patriots offense, where they're just doing fast, quick, short routes, getting the ball into their playmakers' hands and picking up those first downs. And I think that's going to be a huge benefit for DJ Moore, and I really like him as an option. He also is just a great route runner. He can get open once he gets the ball in his hands. You know, he can make receivers miss, or make defenders miss, sorry. Another guy that I really like, though, who can also make people miss, is Quincy Enunwa. We saw him really break out in 2016. Looked like he was going to be a dominant force in 2017 as a nice little sleeper option. Then he got injured that year, so we couldn't draft him. Then last year came around. We were telling you guys he was a nice sleeper option for you last year. He had 37 targets in 4 weeks, 9.3 per week. Okay, and then he got injured again, which sucked. But they signed him to a 4-year contract. Obviously, they like him. He's a film stud. And, you know, I think he's going to be a good option. Sam Darnold should be better. Le'Veon Bell's there. So that should open up the offense a little bit as well. Defenses won't be able to key in on the receivers and the short routes as much. Another guy that I do like is Corey Davis. So Corey Davis, yes, that offense got more weapons this year, but that could help him. You know, much like the Jets offense should be able to be improved because Le'Veon Bell should take off some defensive keys that they might be able to do. That should help Corey Davis as well. And we saw Corey Davis last year. He had 8 weeks where he saw 7 or more targets. 4 of those were 10 or more targets. Okay, he was good. He had 112 targets on the year, which on average is a top 20 fantasy football receiver. So if he gets those same numbers again, I think Corey Davis is going to be a great option. We know he's very talented. It's just a matter of Marcus Mariota getting him the ball. The next guy I really do like as well. We kind of got to wait and see how he's going to be used, but his route running's elite. I mean, I think you give him a year or two, he might be one of the best route runners in the whole league, and I think he's going to develop into that. The thing about Dante Pettis is you got to look at his true average, and as you guys know, a true average is what the player did when they're actually healthy and actually playing in the games. So he had 7 starts. 5 of those he had 10 or more fantasy points per game. Okay, in his starts he was a top 15 receiver. His true average was 13.8 fantasy points per game. He saw 6.3 targets per game, and he had 67 yards per game. So I do like him as an option as well. D.D. Westbrook. So he had 6 weeks where, you know, he had 9.5 or more fantasy points per game. So we do really like that, and that should go up now that Nick Foles is going to be the quarterback. That's not a huge upgrade, but he is going to be more pass heavy. You know, Blake Bortles kind of looked to run sometimes. And honestly, Blake Bortles just really struggled with the routes that D.D. Westbrook was running a majority of the year. Now, his fantasy points weren't great, but he did see over 100 targets last year, and I think that's going to happen again this year. So if we can get 100 targets out of D.D. Westbrook again, he will be good. Maybe he's going to be a little bit more week to week like this next guy, Anthony Miller. I do think Anthony Miller will be more week to week, but I think we'll know when to use him. When the matchups are good, I think he'll produce. But Anthony Miller is more of a preseason gem last year that really stood out on film, and I think he just kind of needed a year to get better and develop within the league and within that offensive system. And I think now that he has that year under his belt, he should be better, and he should be a good fantasy asset. He did have 7 touchdowns last year, so they were looking to get him the ball. And he does look like he is a playmaker. And I think if Mitchell Trubisky gets a little bit better, a little bit more accurate, that'll also help Anthony Miller. You know, Trubisky kind of struggled on some of those shorter routes last year, so obviously that kind of goes hand in hand with Anthony Miller being a good fantasy football asset for us this fantasy football season. Now, James Washington, this is supposed to be his projected stats for 2019, so I'm sorry for that. So James Washington, much like the last two, I think he'll be a little bit more week to week as to when we can start him, but we'll kind of know when to start him. I think he'll be kind of, matchup dependent, but when the matchup's good, I think that'll benefit James Washington. Now, James Washington, he put together some impressive preseason film last year and regular season film as well. You look at the Steelers' offense last year, they were using 2 receivers a lot. Juju and AB were top 10 fantasy football receivers last year. And I don't think James Washington will be that, obviously, but I do think James Washington could sneak in and be a top 25 fantasy football receiver for us this year. Now, Cortland Sutton, I just kind of wanted to include him in there because he was my favorite rookie receiver last year, besides my preseason gem last year, Javon Wims. I won't touch on him on this video, though. Cortland Sutton, he did see a lot of targets, especially down the stretch when DT and Emmanuel Sanders got injured. Joe Flacco, he will throw the ball a little bit more deep. Case Keenum's kind of more of a check down guy, which obviously that didn't benefit Cortland Sutton. So with Joe Flacco there, should kind of help him out a little bit more. He did have quite a bit of yards, 700 is pretty decent. He only had 4 touchdowns. I think that number could go up to 7. Then he's not going to be a horrible fantasy football option for us this season. But those are the sleepers that I have for you guys in this video. That's all I got for you. Alright guys, if you enjoyed the video, please give me a like and subscribe. Appreciate it.